Kotoko Iwanaga, a seemingly ordinary girl, until she reveals she's anything but. At just 11, she was taken by yokai and offered a choice: become their goddess of wisdom. In exchange for one eye and one leg, she accepted. Now 17, she solves supernatural disputes in secret. Her life changes again when she reunites with Kuro Sakuragawa, a calm, mysterious college student she once met in the hospital. Kotoko confesses she's been in love with him for 2 years, but more importantly, she suspects he's hiding something too. Things turn eerie when yokai run from Kuro in fear. Kotoko suspects he's not just strange, he may not even be human anymore. We then fast forward to the library with Kuro, carrying Kotoko Iwanaga on his back to the library. They meet the samurai ghost. Kuro is scared of him. He tells them about the monster in the library, and an intense battle breaks out between Kotoko Iwanaga, Kuro and the monster. Kuro grabs Kotoko and makes a run as they plan their attacks on the monster. Kotoko attacks the monster with a fire extinguisher. She hits the monster on the head, bringing it back to reality. The monster sends Kotoko flying and Kuro catches her. She then tells Kuro how she likes being hugged by him. The monster then gets angry and proceeds to attack. Kuro, with no other choice, decides to try something. He stretches out his hand, like he can control the monster. The monster bites off his arm, but he feels no pain. Kotoko is surprised to see him so calm and standing without feeling any pain. The monster retreats as Kuro bleeds out. Kotoko is still surprised as she looks at Kuro's blank expression. As his arm starts to grow back, Kotoko is surprised again as the monster explodes and melts away. After a surprise reunion at the hospital, Kotoko boldly declares her love. But Kuro's response is less than enthusiastic.
The two take a walk outside, and things get spooky fast. A yokai suddenly appears. But instead of panic, Kuro calmly handles it, and the creature flees in fear. Kotoko realizes there's more to him than meets the eye and demands the truth. Kuro finally opens up. As a child, he was forced to consume the flesh of 2 yokai by his family. The result? He gained terrifying powers, immortality, and future sight. Every time he dies, he sees a future and comes back to life. A blessing? Maybe. A curse? Definitely. Kotoko invites Kuro to join her on a new supernatural case. A giant serpent spirit living in a secluded swamp has summoned her. This serpent, once worshipped as a local deity, is furious after witnessing a woman dump a dead body into his waters. He wants answers, and he wants them now. Kuro refuses to come. He warns Kotoko not to get involved with dangerous yokai again, reminding her that she has no real fighting abilities. But Kotoko won't back down. She may not have super strength, but she can see, talk to, and physically interact with spirits, making her the perfect mediator. Still, Kuro chooses to stay home. Well, for now. Kotoko sets off to the swamp alone. When she gets there, a bright light shines, and the serpent appears. Despite his size, he's formal and polite, offering Kotoko a seat and explaining his concern. Once worshipped as a guardian deity, he's now forgotten. And worse, someone used his swamp to hide a corpse. He wants the truth, but not the police version. He wants a story that satisfies a god. Kotoko sits down to explain, and we get a hilarious flashback. She tried to get Kuro to accompany her by visiting him dressed up. He was unimpressed, more focused on cooking miso soup than supernatural drama. He hands her bug spray, some rice cakes, and basically kicks her out. Kotoko begins explaining. The man found in the swamp was named Hiro Yoshihara, a 35-year-old construction worker. The woman who dumped him has already been arrested and confessed. But something doesn't sit right with the serpent. Kotoko knows that logic won't be enough. She needs a better lie. A believable story that can calm the wrath of a spiritual being. Meanwhile, unknown to her, Kuro has followed her secretly. The serpent recalls how he saw the woman dump the body of the man into the swamp. But no matter the explanation Kotoko gives, the story is still not good enough to satisfy the serpent. She enjoys her food while Kuro also enjoys his food while hiding. While they sit and talk about what happened, the yokais clean out the swamp. Kotoko begins her specialty, crafting logical fictions. She tells the serpent the woman may have acted in self-defense, that the man attacked her and she panicked, that she dumped the body not out of cruelty, but fear. While the woman dumps the body in the swamp, she said to herself, "I hope they do find you." Kuro seems surprised by this revelation, but as the conversation continues, the serpent grows increasingly impatient. Still, Kotoko calmly explains how the woman carried the corpse up the mountain and eventually dumped the body in the swamp. But then, Kotoko tells the serpent that the woman eventually confessed to the police, explaining how, as a child, she had heard stories of a man-eating serpent. That's why she chose to dump the body in the swamp, hoping the serpent would devour it. The serpent sees the newspaper detailing the woman's confession, including the reason she killed the man and why she dumped his body in the swamp. With everything laid out, Kotoko calmly wraps up her explanation. Kuro, after her boyfriend died, she suffered a miscarriage. In a moment of trauma and despair, she secretly disposed of the feed taken by the earlier incident and lost in thought about her past with Kuro. Her mind devastated by the revelation, Kotoko's tone shifts from neutral to hostile. With a bitter smirk, she tells Saki. Kotoko arrives at behind the woman the internet turned into a ghost. Saki's investigation marks a turning point. She's no longer just reacting. Meanwhile, Kotoko is seen sitting alone in a cafe, browsing on her tablet while sipping tea. With Steel Lady Nanase proving to be far more dangerous. Flashback within the report, the old man explains to the police what he witnessed on the night of Karen Nanase's accident. Lasting impression on him. It was as if she expected it. As Saki finishes reading the report, a sudden sound startles her, a light tapping at her window. Cautiously, she walks Oko and are here to escort Saki somewhere important. Still shaken, Saki demands answers, but the yokai remain cryptic. One thing is clear. Whatever Kotoko is planning next, she needs Saki to be a part of it, whether Saki is ready or not. Elsewhere, Kotoko is in surprise. He is the only one whose body endured the transformation. As a result, he inherited two monsters. After the intense battle and Steel Lady Nanase's sudden disappearance, Kotoko, Kuro, Saki listens intently, realizing she's in a battle of information now, not just strength or logic. Kuro stays quiet as always, but his presence reminds them both that time is running out. Nanase is only getting stronger. They have no choice but to work together. The war against an internet-born ghost has just begun. They all know now that brute force won't work. Kuro's regeneration and strength aren't enough to keep Nanase down, and even meanwhile, Kotoko and Kuro calmly speak to the ghost, asking if he was present the night of Karen Nanase's death. The ghost nods and begins to tell his story. She rests her chin on Kuro's shoulder and quietly remarks about how close they are to ending this. But beneath her usual smug confidence, at the police station, Saki finds herself being questioned by fellow officers. She's stunned to learn that her superior was the victim, and even more disturbed when she's told that she was the last person he contacted before his death. Investigators ask her about their relationship, whether they'd been working on the Steel Lady case together, and if she had any idea where he might have gone that night. Though Saki answers honestly, she senses that suspicion is starting to form around her, not as a suspect, but as someone entangled in something much stranger than she can openly explain. The morning after the brutal attack, news spreads quickly. A senior police detective has been found dead at an abandoned site, his head crushed in a grisly and mysterious manner. The details are eerily similar to the rumors surrounding Steel Lady Nanase. She can't tell them the truth, not about yokai or Steel Lady Nanase, or Kotoko's involvement. All she can do is remain calm and say as little as possible. Inside, though, Saki is shaken. This isn't just a rumor anymore. Someone real is dying, and if they don't stop this soon, more lives will be lost. Saki goes to the roof to clear her thoughts, then she receives an invite from Kotoko to come to the hotel to plan. Later that day, The scene shifts to Kotoko's hotel room. She's sprawled across the bed in her usual casual and slightly dramatic fashion, her prosthetic leg detached and resting nearby, along with her glass eye removed and placed on the nightstand. Despite her disassembled state, she's hard at work, surrounded by notes, open laptops, and screenshots of online forums and the Wikipedia page dedicated to Steel Lady Nanase. Kotoko mutters to herself as she carefully drafts posts, deletes paragraphs, and rewrites arguments. She's not just writing. She's constructing a story believable enough to override a ghost. A knock on the door. It's Kuro, holding a plastic bag. Without saying much, he walks in, opens the bag, and pulls out a box of chocolate, Kotoko's favorite. She lights up with a grin, teasing him for finally doing something sweet. He sits beside her on the bed, and together they begin reviewing the current progress of their fabricated theory. They analyze which parts of the Steel Lady Nanase story are most believed by the public and start constructing counterarguments. Logical, skeptical explanations that will sound more grounded and factual than the ghost myth. Just as they get into the core of the planning, Saki arrives at the hotel room. She steps in to see the two already deep in discussion, and for a moment, she's taken aback by how natural they seem together. A monster boy and a half-dismantled goddess plotting the downfall of a ghost using nothing but keyboards and clever lies. It's time to finish what they started. Kuro looks at Kotoko, who's now slumped forward, clearly exhausted. He reaches over and gently pats her head, a rare gesture of affection and quiet admiration. "You did well," he says softly. Before he knows it, she's asleep, a slight smile on her face as if even in dreams she's proud of her manipulation skills. Kuro walks Saki to the elevator, leaving Kotoko to rest. As the doors close and they descend, a heavy silence hangs between them. Saki breaks it. "So you already know who's behind all this, don't you?" Kuro doesn't answer right away, but his expression hardens, confirming what Saki already suspects. "It's Rika, isn't it?" she says. "Your cousin, and your first love." Kuro nods slowly. Rika, Kuro's older cousin and the woman who once shared his fate. She had also consumed yokai flesh and gained powers like his, resurrection and foresight. But unlike Kuro, she was not perfect. She also inherited the same powers, but it left her hospitalized. She embraced her monstrous nature, rejecting morality and logic. Where he seeks peace, she craves chaos. And now, she's the one feeding Steel Lady Nanase's existence, manipulating the internet, strengthening the legend, and watching people die with cold amusement. Saki remembers the first time she saw Rika. Back then, she was still dating Kuro. He had taken her to visit his cousin, who had been hospitalized after an accident. That cousin turned out to be Rika. But from the moment Saki stepped into the hospital room, she felt a paralyzing pressure in the air. Rika, lying on the bed, had a calm smile, but her eyes were cold, calculated, and full of something Saki couldn't describe at the time. Rika's presence was terrifying. There was no yelling, no threats, just a quiet, chilling confidence that made Saki feel like prey standing before a predator. It didn't take long for the unease to overwhelm her. Her hands trembled, and her voice cracked as she muttered a fake excuse about needing to make a call. She rushed out of the room, leaving Kuro behind, desperate to escape that unnatural presence. Even without knowing the truth then, Saki had sensed something monstrous about Rika. Rika wasn't just intimidating. She was already becoming the person who would one day breathe life into a ghost like Steel Lady Nanase. Now, as the pieces fall into place, she realizes her instincts were right. As Saki and Kuro reach the ground floor, the elevator doors slide open, and waiting there in the lobby is none other than Kotoko, now fully dressed, her prosthetic leg and glass eye back in place. Later that night, Saki and Kotoko sit together in a parked car, the engine off, the atmosphere quiet. Outside, the city hums softly, but inside, tension lingers as they both try to make sense of the dangerous woman behind Steel Lady Nanase, Rika. Kotoko, for once, is unusually serious. "So, what exactly happened after Rika left the hospital?" Saki asks. Kotoko began explaining to Saki what happened after Rika was discharged from the hospital. Rika had nowhere to go, and her only option was to stay with Kuro. However, Kuro didn't like the idea of living in his small apartment, which only had one bed, with a woman he wasn't married to. So, he called Kotoko to ask for a favor. Although Kotoko had other plans, she decided to use the opportunity to take advantage of Kuro. But when Kuro rejected her offer, she agreed to take Rika in because she didn't like the idea of another woman living with her boyfriend in the same apartment. As Saki and Kotoko wait in the car, Kotoko begins to explain her experience from when she met Rika. She loves to spend time on the internet and likes to draw. She has always been planning to create a monster. That is when Kotoko came across the wiki page, and the drawing was the same as Rika's drawing. That was how she knew that Rika was the mastermind behind Steel Lady Nanase. As Saki and Kotoko continue waiting in the parked car, still deep in thought, then a cat yokai appeared to inform them that Steel Lady Nanase has appeared again. They drive off to the scene and pick up Kuro where he was waiting. The scene shifts to a dark, gloomy room. We see Rika walking up to a computer, her skin pale and thin. She mutters a few words to herself and then slits her own throat. This is part of a ritual that allows her to see the future and determine how the fight will unfold. Moments later, she begins to regenerate. Then Kotoko, Kuro, and Saki arrive at the battleground. Kuro steps out of the car, leaving the two behind, and goes to fight Steel Lady Nanase, because he's the only one who can face her head-on. Meanwhile, Kotoko prepares to launch her own attack from inside the car. Her plan is to weaken Steel Lady Nanase by convincing the people who believe in her that she isn't real. If their belief fades, Nanase's power will diminish, and they'll finally have a chance to defeat her. Back in Rika's room, her ritual is now complete. As she finishes regenerating, she smiles, pleased and ready to begin her part in the battle. Kotoko is oddly excited about the fight because it allows her to do what she does best, use logic. In this battle, she plans to unleash argument after argument, stacking logic upon logic until she finally convinces the audience. This isn't just a battle of fists, it's a battle of logic. And in the end, the one with the strongest reasoning will be the true winner. The fight begins with a tense staring contest between Kuro and Steel Lady Nanase. Then, without warning, Kuro makes the first move, rushing straight toward her to kick off the battle.